question we asked ourselves was, if a conscientious lawyer thinks, I read about Myside bias, and I might not be as objective here as I thought, what can I do on my own to reduce this bias? Can I debias myself? People often try one or more of these four things. They tend to consider the arguments of both sides. They can think about the other side thinks about the situation. They can ask themselves whether their role biased them, and they can try to think counterfactually, which means they think of all the reasons why they could be wrong and then make an adjustment. The first two, considering the arguments for the other side and thinking about what the other side thinks the judge would do, we already discussed before. Now let's turn to the perception of bias in oneself. When we asked our participants whether their role biased them, about half thought they were only marginally biased or not biased at all. And between 86% and 79% thought they were either moderately biased or less. We then asked our participant to assume their current estimates were wrong and to think of all the reasons why that could be. Which assumptions that they made might have been wrong, which considerations they did may be shaky, which arguments have they overweighted or underweighted. We asked them to write these down and to make a revised estimate. Finally, we asked them to consider everything and make one last final award estimate. So, how different was this final estimate from the first one? Did bias disappear? It turns out that our debiasing had an effect, but did not get rid of the bias entirely. The gap between the estimates of the two parties narrowed, but it did not disappear. The difference between the plaintiffs' and the defendants' award expectations was still a statistically significant 11,000. The plaintiffs thought they would get 21% more than the defendants thought that they would have to pay. So what have we learned? Myside bias in legal judgment is pervasive. It appears quickly, affects the predictions of a wide array of outcomes, and it is quite resistant to debiasing interventions. As such, it presents a vulnerability in legal decision-making, as it can be a barrier to efficient settlement and can cause an escalation of conflict. Just like with our cyclist and driver, who, because of this bias, might not settle, even though they probably should.